there, it's Ruth Sherman, CEO and celebrity speech and media coach, but you don't have to be famous to work with me. Today, I want to talk to you about why it feels so good to say fuck and other words like that. That felt really, really good. And as always, I'm going to use my trusty notes so I stay on track and don't keep you too long. Now, I've addressed the topic twice before, the last time in 2013, and then those words, while they were prevalent in interpersonal discourse, they were very rare publicly. So the newspapers wouldn't publish them, for example. Instead, they would use all kinds of descriptive terminology to imply what the word was that had been said. And they still do this to some extent, but they're much more likely and much less reluctant to publish these words in their actual form now as they do their reporting. I also had commented on the fact that millennials and Gen Xers were much more comfortable using these words than boomers, people like me. And, I had suspected that when they grew into leadership positions or were in the workforce that we'd start hearing them more. Well, voila, here they are. And yes, indeed, we are hearing them more. And as a result, our ears have become more accustomed to hearing them, and it doesn't feel so wrong to say them. So, it's funny because we actually studied this phenomenon in grad school. Yes, in communication grad school, this is the kind of thing we study. So it was fun. But what I learned in graduate school was that this phenomenon, the phenomenon of using forbidden words, curse words, swear words, four-letter words, whatever you want to call them, is a way that we have as human beings to vent, to let off steam. And that's a very good thing. In many cases today, we use them that way as well. For example, it's harmless. It helps you. If somebody dings your car and you say, oh, shit, or you ding somebody else's car, you can say the same thing, right? It's harmless. It's just a way to kind of vent and let off steam and, express yourself. But if you use the word to berate someone, to insult them, hurt them, then that could be a problem. For example, that person who dinged your car, you get out and you call them a fucking idiot. That could be a problem. It might feel good, but it doesn't help your cause. Now, in case you haven't guessed, I'm totally comfortable with cursing. I am a true potty mouth, and everybody who knows me knows this about me. But I'm also careful about where and when I use these words. In 2013, I told you I didn't use them in my presentations because it wasn't part of my brand. In 2017, however, I have used them. So, and that of course will spill into this year as well. So, for example, I did a big speech in front of a very large group in the fall, where the population, the audience, was comprised mainly of younger marketing people. People who wore jeans to work and hoodies and so forth. And so it was easy for me to use the F word, to say fuck, and get a big laugh. In fact, they kind of relaxed a little bit because I think that meant that, I was one of them. They could relate to me a little more easily. I spoke to another group, also more conservative, but instead of saying fuck, I said, instead of saying what the fuck, I said, what the F? And they loved that too. So it was a good solution. It still served the purpose. It was kind of like what those newspapers used to do. Yet they were not offended, and it didn't hurt my relationship with them or the organizers. So that was interesting to me. In case you didn't know, by the way, fuck is the most popular curse word by far. By far. Another cue for me is if one of the organizers at an event uses some strong language first. So that automatically, or that defaults, I believe, into giving me permission to use that word and other words because they know their audiences better than I do. So when do I avoid using them? Well, I never use them when I'm meeting clients for the first time. I do try to behave myself and make a good impression. It can't hurt you not to use them, but you can get into trouble if you do and you're not clear about who your audience is and what their preferences are. As younger generations, however, I believe, again, move into the C-suite, we're going to see less of this, or we're going to hear more swearing and cursing, and less offense is going to be taken. I stick to this rule, though, even when a client decides to use the word first, until I really get to know a client, and then I might use one of the second-tier swear words. Again, pretty careful, and corporate still is one of those places where there are certain protocols in place. And again, it depends on the place. And so I've learned over time to take my cues. And that's what this is really all about, reading cues. You've got to be able to read historical cues, know how times are changing and what makes sense in the context of a particular time and era, and also immediate cues. What's going on in your immediate world that enables you to make a decision as to whether or not to use them. In fact, it is really part of who I am, and that is why I use them. And I think audiences enjoy when you come across as who you are. People call that authentic. I don't know. Authentic is a misused word, but it really does feel genuine and real when I use them. And whether they like your choice of words, if you come across genuine and real, they will like you. So if you want to learn more about when to swear and when to not swear, when to say fuck and all that good stuff, hop on over to ruthsherman.com, where you can download your complimentary training videos and lots of other complimentary stuff that will help you in your journey. And I hope you'll subscribe here as well. Thanks for watching.